Huey P. Long is a fascinating figure in American history due to the unique position he held and how he used it. To understand his importance, you need to understand the unique position in politics he occupied and how he got there. Long would begin his journey into politics in 1924, running for governor on a populist platform, but due in part to sabotage from the KKK, Long would lose this election. However, Long would not be so easily thwarted, running again in 1928. He campaigned in impoverished parts of Louisiana and adopted a slogan, "Every man a king." This time, Long would succeed with the largest margin of victory in Louisiana's history. This would start one of the most impactful and unique political careers in American history. Long was a radical leftist, but found his policies limited by the conservative politicians surrounding him. So he began replacing hundreds of opponents with his supporters and using the National Guard to enforce his rule. Despite his methods, Long would enact many populist policies, including free textbooks for all students. When he tried to tax oil to fund social programs, oil lobbyists tried to impeach him, which failed, and had the effect of making Long even more dictatorial. Following this, he would abduct a critic set to testify about his corruption, forcing him to clear Long's name and having the National Guard surround the Capitol when the lieutenant governor tried to stage a coup. He also established his newspaper, Louisiana Progress, due to most others being critical of him, and it quickly grew to be one of the state's most popular. In 1930, he ran for senator, staging his election as a referendum, promising to step down if he lost. He won. By this point, Long had gained national attention, not only for his dictatorial actions but his radical socialist ideals. He would try and fail to pass the Share Our Wealth plan, despite 7.5 million Americans joining clubs to push for it to pass, which would have guaranteed housing for all Americans and redistributed the nation's wealth toward the poor and social programs. By limiting millionaires to a net worth of $5 million and distributing excess income so that everyone can get $5,000. Long also first suggested artificial scarcity as a solution for the Great Depression. It was these attempts by Long that would spur FDR into beginning the Second New Deal, which included Social Security as well as implementing his proposal of artificial scarcity, in large part because FDR wanted to steal Long's thunder to prevent him from gaining any more power. If it were not for Long, the Second New Deal and all its consequences would not have happened. No Social Security, no Wagner Act, no TVA, and no war on poverty. And you could go on listing things Long caused by forcing Roosevelt's hand. Even with his dictatorship, for most people living in Louisiana, this would be a time of increased prosperity and bright futures. For this reason, it's hard to say that Long was a negative force despite his undemocratic methods. Had Long been given more time, we can only imagine how much more he would have impacted American history. Perhaps he could have forced a third New Deal, one including universal health care, and he was beginning to voice presidential ambitions. And given that he was popular among the poor, which was everyone during the Great Depression, he would have stood a genuine chance in the 1936 election. But he was assassinated by the son-in-law of a judge he deposed, who was then deservingly shot 61 times in retaliation. So we can only imagine what more he could have done for the American people. Despite his death, Long's influence continued, as his donations to LSU transformed it into one of the South's best public universities, and Huey P. Newton, co-founder of the Black Panthers, is named after Huey P. Long. Long gives us a fascinating insight into how easily you can create a dictatorship in America if you have the support of the people. He also represents one of the biggest what-ifs in American history. This is why Huey P. Long should be inducted into the American Hall of Fame.
That's right. I weep or slumber, America, land of brave and true, with castles and clothing and food for all belongs to you. Every man a king, for you can be a millionaire. That's fine. But there's something belonging to others. There's enough for all people to share. When it's sunny June and December too, or in the winter time or spring, there'll be peace without end, every neighbor a friend, with every man a king.
What do you think about that?
I think it's fine.
Don't put her out, huh?
Senator, I think it's fine.